Welcome everyone to the hobby desk. So today I'm making rubbish. And I know what you're thinking, why is this different from any other video you've ever made, Ross? It's all rubbish. But today I'm actually making rubbish bags for specifically Marvel Crisis Protocol terrain. But it can be used in any tabletop game. I wouldn't have thought so much 40k because I couldn't imagine there'll be people going around with dustbin bags picking up rubbish, putting it in dustbin bins, and the rubbish guys coming to collect it every Tuesday morning and waking you up at the crack of dawn. But it is great for those modern day games, from zombie games. Yes, I'm using it for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Yes, I have been bitten by the Marvel Crisis Protocol bug, which we'll call the MCP from now on, because me trying to say it a dozen times is probably a bit too much for my simple-minded brain. But this is what I'm making. So the dumpsters that you get, that's right, dumpsters, because it's an American-based game, looks something like that. So when you assemble it, you can assemble it with the top on, which is about what you're supposed to do, because models can stand on this as well as through it. So I have stuck it at such an angle models can still stand on, but I wanted to have it so you can see dustbin bags piling out over the top. But in this particular video I'm going to show you the basics. If you wanted to stick a magnet in there, and let's say you slip a magnet underneath the surface of your gaming board, you could put the bag on there, because these aren't going to be too heavy, they're not going to be weighted, they're not going to be easily destroyed, so you can just chuck them in the bottom of your random gaming piece set. So you can have dustbin bags in there, you can have your fire hydrants in there, dustbins themselves, barrels, whatnot. For 40k I have such a pot for barrels and ammo crates, things like that. Or you can just chuck them in a big box and they'll rattle to the bottom and you'll never find them again. Hey ho, I won't go into that, your total preference. Yes, I've rambled on enough. So how do I make these dustbin bags? So this is just the basics, and you can apply it to anything you want. Like I said, you can make separate little tokens, you can have them rolling around your table, or you can affix them to your table. You can have a diorama and fix them to said diorama. So what do I make dustbin bags out of? Well, I could use a dustbin bag because it's obviously the same material. And I could just cut it, and that's fine. But being a pet owner, I have dog poo bags. These aren't second-hand, these are obviously new and clean, and I haven't just used them in the backyard. So you can cut out a small section, like so. You can see I've been airbrushing, look at that fun. And you can just stuff it full of paper, and that's totally fine. You can cut it to the appropriate right shape, you can spend lots of time folding it, that's fine. You can even put it over a ruler, which I found pretty helpful. A steel ruler like so. It's about the right width you want it. You can cut it to the right size and use a lighter on the edge to seal it. But I don't recommend that, purely because of fumes, and I don't want to kill off anybody on this channel, because you're all lovely people. Rather than tying it off, because that's rather fiddly, I do recommend a bit of fuse wire. So I've had this reel probably for 20 years. I've used it for barbed wire, and it's great for making rope and things like that. But you can see it's very, very, very thin. I'm just going to twist it around the top and tie it off. So that's what I recommend. I mean, you can use string, whatever you want, but you want it to be semi-invisible for around the top of the bag. And I will do that now to show you. So cutting off a small piece, just because it's easier to work with, like so. You can always trim it afterwards, so don't cut it too short now, and when you twist it around you'll be tripping over yourself. So I have cut one of the poo bags in half. I will zoom out so you can see my lovely dirty worktop. We'll put that to one side. So poo bag in half, so you can see normally there's another handle there, and all I'm going to do is, you notice on most dustbin bags you have it's sealed there and then you have a little flap. So I'm going to fold it inside out so you get that corner on the outside and fold the whole thing in on itself, making a little pocket. So the outside, the bottom bit, should be reasonably smooth, because if you didn't, you folded it the other way, you would have had that little envelope section, that little flap sticking out. So at the moment you've got kind of like a little cup section. So you could make little bags, and that's time consuming, and fill them up with paper and things like that, and put little weights in there. I mean, you could put a little stone in there if you're worried about it blowing away, and that's fine. I don't know what use you guys are having it for. Obviously I'm sticking it to pieces of terrain, so I'm not going to worry about it blowing away. But like I said, if you wanted to stick it to a diorama, that's great. If you want it in specifically Marvel Crisis Protocol as something you could throw, so they'll obviously be size 1 things because they're dustbin bags. It's not like throwing a skip or a car or a building at somebody. You might want to stick a little magnet inside and put a magnet on a piece of terrain underneath, hiding so these don't get blown around. Or you could put a little weight inside, like a little stone. But yes, I'm making that kind of shape. So I can stick my finger in there. Just have a bit of cheapy old super glue. Put a few drops in there like so. And squeeze it together. So something a bit like this. And then collect the top, the excess. Give it a little twist. And then you can attach your little wire around the bag like so. So getting it reasonably tight there. And I don't know how much you want sticking out for the little tie. I was thinking something along the lines of that, because you gotta think scale. So if that's the dustbin bag, let's bring on Omega Red. So obviously slightly bigger than normal, size 3, but that comes up to about his shin, and that's fine. So Iron Man, he's not painted yet, guys. That's only a undercoat and obviously a base coat. So that comes up to maybe just above his knee, which is about right in real life. If you had a big dustbin bag, it's probably about just over the knee. So that's roughly what I've done. And if you're reasonably happy with that, maybe a spot of super glue, or just tie it a bit tighter with the bit of metal tie, and then snip it off when you are happy. So I've trimmed it off camera, not lost any fingers, that's always a bonus. So we'll zoom in a little bit more. So you can make it your own shape however you want it. I like dustbin bags with a smooth bottom because it looks like it's quite weighty then. And whatever you want to put in it is totally up to you. But this is how I make fast dustbin bags. So if I want to rip out 5 of these in an hour, there you go, bish bash bosh. And I can stick them all together in a big heap and make a trash pile if I wanted to. That's great. It's pretty simple, it's pretty basic. Like I said, they will get blown away because they are super light, unless you're sticking them to a piece of terrain or each other, or putting tiny little stones inside. But it's great to make, you know, more of a realistic urban environment. So if you want to stick them to the base of buildings, around bus stops, open up something like this and stick a load in there. Brilliant. And the other good thing about these, because they're made of dustbin bag type material, you don't have to paint them. If you made them out of clear bags, those little Ziploc bags or something like that, you'd have to spray them up, to prime them, and then paint them somehow, either with a brush or an airbrush. All time consuming. So if you actually make them out of dustbin bags, they look like dustbin bags. Surprisingly, who knew, right? So there you go, it's just a short video, guys, on how to make a little bit of filler for your urban tabletop. Hope this was helpful. Hope you're keeping well. Please subscribe if you haven't done already. Take care, everyone. See you in the next video.